Welcome to Personnel Committee meeting, Thursday, July 16th, 2026. Please stand for the pledge. Legislative Sage, can you lead us?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call.
Present.
Present. Present. Moving on to number 3 is acceptance of minutes from May 12th, 2026 and June 9th, 2026. Moving on to number 4, we have discussion this evening for the retiree health insurance costs. Now, just so everyone is aware, this is only on for discussion tonight. And I will have to ask whoever wants to come up first to talk about their concerns. I will ask personnel. And we have Adrian Isoni here from personnel. So Adrian, would you like to come up? So you can answer the questions. Oh, and I just want to remind everybody to sign in when you come up and speak, right here at the podium. Not you, Adrian. Adrian, we know you. Yes, of course. Yes, please. Hi, Alex. Come on up. We have Acting Commissioner Alex Gordon here also this evening. Okay. So, Adrian, there are people that are coming here this evening that have some concerns about the healthcare costs for retirees. And I invited them to come and voice their concerns this evening. So, is there anybody that would like to come up to the podium first from the audience? Hi.
Good evening, everybody.
Just make sure the green button is on. Is the green button on? The green light?
Oh, that green light. Okay.
Thank you so much.
Modern technology. You didn't have this when I was here. Good evening, everybody. I am Jane Munier Gorman, and I am a previous county retiree. I worked for the county for Putnam County in various departments for 39 years. Before I start and give you my take on this, I'd like to read something to you from our first president, Raina Kobe. Her and her husband founded CSEA Putnam County way back in the 70s, I believe, 60s, whatever it was when it was founded. So I reached out to Raina today because she has been involved in this ongoing discussion for many, many years. So from Raina. I served in many offices of Putnam County Local 840, past president, Region 3 president, Putnam County Board of Directors, as a member of the statewide CSEA from Putnam County representing the CSEA over the course of many years, 38 of them, until my employment ended in 2005 when I decided to retire. In regard to the Putnam County retirees' health care coverage, over the years the cost has increased and long-term retirees who have lower retirement income are burdened by the rising costs of their portion of health care coverage. We appreciate the meeting to discuss this important issue, and hopefully we will find an outcome that is in favor of those dedicated employees who gave so many years to the service of Putnam County. I thank you very much for this opportunity to comment on behalf of our retirees. Raina and Ron are now in Florida enjoying their retirement, so obviously they couldn't come up, but thank you for the opportunity for me to read that. So like I said, I'm Jane Munier Gorman, and I started in 1985 when I was 19 years old, and I came to work for Putnam County in the mailroom. I started doing the mail. I worked there for so many years under purchasing under the auspices of Doris Galvin. And then I was kidnapped into the law department where I worked for a long time. And then I was kidnapped again and put into the county exec's office where I met Dan. And then I finally landed in the Department of Health, and I finished up my career in the Department of Health over, probably 25 years or so. When I took this position, I was thrilled to death to have insurance. When I was 20, I became a single mom. I had to put my son all through school, being a single mom, doing all the things that single moms do. Had to put him through college. So it was a burden for me to work. But I chose to work because I loved my job here at Putnam County. I loved all of the people that I worked with. I loved all of my members that I represented. I was Local 840 president for, I can't even, probably 15, 20 years. We were made promises. We were told that we would always have affordable health insurance through our employment with the county. And when I retired after 39 years and I got my first bill, I almost, I couldn't even breathe. I was like, oh my God, how am I going to afford this? My retirement income is roughly $55,000. My retirement health insurance is almost $10,000. It's costly. It's very costly. And then you have to add on all the copays and so on and so forth. And I know everybody else in this room is having the same issues. The money numbers may be a little bit different, but it is a concern. We have been made promises, and those promises over the years have changed, have been diminished, and now we're stuck with a bill that is really not appreciative for all of the years of service that the people that are in these rows have given to Putnam County. So I do appreciate everything that you guys are doing and listening very intently. And we would love to work with you. CSEA cannot represent retirees because they're not part of the collective bargaining agreement anymore, and Adrian's nodding her head yes. But I still work for CSEA. I left Putnam County, and 2 days later I started a position in CSEA. So I still work technically for Putnam County as an OSH specialist, an occupational safety and health specialist. I don't just protect the members. I protect you guys as a government for pest violations, and we try to work together before things become a bigger problem. So part of me is still part of Putnam County, and that's where my heart is. So again, I thank you for everything. I thank you for listening and, just at least entertaining conversations between us. I would love to be part of those conversations, I'm sure, as everybody else has. But that's all I got. Thank you so much.
I'm Aileen Napolitano. I've been a Putnam County employee for almost 34 years. I retired in 2022. And part of the reason that I did send a letter to you was because as of those years after retiring, every year since I've retired, my health insurance has increased $1,000 a year. While I understand that's part of the process of everybody, even the people who are currently working, my retirement doesn't change. I get the same amount. The people who have started working, my understanding is that there was something worked out with them to reduce their amount of 17%. I fully agree. That 30% for anybody to pay is ridiculous. I'm just asking you to look at that because we're paying that and we're at a reduced salary. And I just wish that somebody would look at it. I understand the figures that they came up with. I don't know how that came up with. Maybe that's something Adrian can explain. Again, I don't want to put you on the spot, but that's a ridiculous amount of number to reach $64,999 and pay 30% of insurance. So I'm just asking if you could review that and consider the amount of time that we put into this county. The majority of people, I believe, here who are retired have worked over 30 years. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Sorry about that.
My name is John Mulraney. I was one of the co-authors of the letter that we sent to the nice legislative group here, and we appreciate you meeting with us tonight. I had the help of a good friend of mine, and we did a spreadsheet of the surrounding counties, so I want to hand this to the legislators.
Make a motion to accept the additional.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And it talks about the surrounding counties and what the cost is to the employees. And I was here about a month or so ago when Mr. Tendy had a agenda about his trying to recruit ADAs. And like I said in the letter, I was an employee here for 35 years, almost 35 years. And as Aileen and Jane said, if you guys could just take a look at the cost, you know, our pensions don't rise. When I was working, my salary was, you know, 40% higher, but I was paying 10%. I retire, now I'm paying 30%. My pension is 40%, you know, my salary is 40% lower. So whatever you guys could do, if you have a committee, if you want to get us involved, we're more than happy to help out. Thank you very much.
Thank you. So as we can see, and I did do some research on this, for example, Dutchess County, they don't go by the amount, they go by your years of service.
Right.
How many years you were in working for the county, and that's how we do it differently here. So that makes a difference. Thank you. Good evening.
Hi,
Hi.
my name is Janet Gomez Canaday. I'm a Putnam County resident. I'm a current retiree since 2023, and this happened during my watch. And what I'd like to say is, when it did happen, it was introduced to the legislature in October, and I don't know the year. You have it down there, and within December, it had passed the legislature, and I thought that at that time, they did not even allow CSCA to be involved in the discussion of the increase, which was tremendous. I've worked for the county for 21 years. I'm very proud that I worked for Putnam County, and I still am involved in Putnam County because I love this county, and I think our employees really work hard for what they do. And when promises are made and then they're broken, it's disheartening. And in today's environment that we have things so expensive, I understand that your costs are expensive, but so are ours. And as the last three people said, our income doesn't go up. So it's just everything else does go up. That's all I'd like to say, and I thank you for giving us the opportunity to listen to us and to review what's happening here with retiree health insurance. Thank you.
Thank you. Did you sign in, Janet? Did you sign? Yeah. Now, I don't know, many people, Janet, you remember at that time, I did vote against it. I voted against the increase. Yes.
That's right.
That was,
Thank you. I think you were the only, no, you and.
there were several, but not enough. Mm-hmm.
But thank you very much.
No.
You're now. And that's
It's 19, 2000,
I appreciate that.
was it
Thank you.
19?
Hi, good evening. My name is Dorothy Trottier, AKA Dot. I worked for Putnam County for 41 years in the same office, the Office for Aging, now Office for Senior Resources. I can't tell you what a hardship this could be if there's any change to this retirement insurance. I understand the county just recently lowered the employees' portion of the payment. I can't tell you the burden we're paying now for this health insurance. When you get to be this age, I'm 81 tomorrow. Still here. My husband and I have had very difficult 3 years health-wise. This insurance is so important to us. I can't tell you that if anything happens to it, I was so fortunate working here for the county for 41 years. I worked under 3 directors, Marion Hayes, Bill Eustace, Pat Sheehy. I absolutely loved it. I said, this is the first time I'm back in this building in 10 years. I brought up the budget for 2017. Bill Carlin took it from me and he says, don't tell me I'm not going to see Dorothy Trottier's name in the next year's budget. I said, no, I'm done. But I loved every minute of it. I would come back tomorrow if I was able. This insurance has been a lifesaver. Please consider that someday you're all going to get to this point where when they say you're on a fixed income, they're not kidding. You really are. Even food. Every time there's a food increase, my husband and I think about what's next. You can't keep up. So please consider very carefully what you're doing and how you could possibly hurt this group. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. Sean Rogan. I'm a recent retiree, 30 years with Putnam County. I was at that meeting that you mentioned, and I'm glad you mentioned the way that it was discussed about the tiered, based on income. When I started with Putnam County, I remember my entrance interview with Ed McAvoy. And the one thing that he said was, with Uncle Ed, right? That I think he was everyone's uncle. And what I remember most was he said, Sean, Putnam County is a great place to work. It's like a big family. You're not going to make the money that you would make in private industry, but for that, you have a secure job, you have good benefits, and when you retire, you're going to have a good benefit package that it's going to be very affordable. And I know that everyone will kind of say, well, that was kind of like a verbal contract, but things change in life. The one thing that I noticed when the legislature voted years ago to change the retiree portion, number one, like you said, they didn't allow any comment from anyone. And it seemed like it was done in a little bit of haste. Dan, you were part of, I think it was like a blue ribbon panel committee years ago that studied health insurance costs and how to work to reduce things. What I heard mentioned was no one discussed the difference between someone that maybe invests 20 years of their life with the county and someone that invests 39 or 41. That is a big difference because that is a commitment to this community. My colleagues in Westchester County, I remember them discussing retiree health insurance, and what they decided as an entire workforce was we'd rather pay more while we're working. We know what our costs are, but when we're on a fixed income, we'd rather then have the reduced costs. So all I would ask is that while we discuss any changes, we consider maybe a tiered system that doesn't rely on simply how much you make in retirement on a pension, because no one can really say what anyone's costs are in life. You don't know if maybe I'm supporting an elderly father or something. It's not easy enough to just say, well, the person makes $60,000 a year on a pension. They can afford more. The reality is the system does not reward length of service, and I think that it should. And so I appreciate your time. I know that the costs are rising every day with insurance. They are astronomical, and that's a whole nother conversation that's probably outside of all of our purview. But I appreciate your time, and I think it's so nice to see so many retirees here. I'm glad and so proud to be part of them now. I've been waiting my whole life. I've heard my dad say, I'm a retiree on a retiree on a fixed income. And I finally thought one day I'd be able to say that. But thank you for your time. I appreciate it. And I know it's a hard job that you do. And we are all very appreciative of that job. Thank you.
Thank you.
The little guy's up next. He's going.
You want us to get up there?
Stand on it. Brett, you cut him off.
I got to get my time here. I'll fill that out later. Brett Yaris, Carmel Hamlet, and former CSEA member. I've had the chance to speak to so many of these folks because a lot of them live here in Putnam County. These aren't just workers for Putnam County's government. Many of these folks are our neighbors right here in our community who have dedicated their lives to being the epitome of a good neighbor, dedicating themselves to the public service of their fellow neighbor. One of the things I won't touch upon their shared experiences because they've shared it with you. But one thing I've done, and I've done this before you guys a few times last year, coming before you, is remind you of the economic impact of this. That's actually a net benefit to make sure our folks are taken care of. That it's an investment in our people, and it's an investment in our communities. And when we allow folks to be able to retire with dignity, retire with an opportunity to still be active participants in our local economies, everybody benefits. And not that this should be reduced to dollars and cents, but too often and far too often, that's the way government tends to look at things. And I think that's what drove some of the decisions that led to the problems that we see right now. But the true economic impact of this is we are allowing folks to retire and retire with dignity in a way that when they do, they can still be active participants in the communities that they themselves help to build. And right now, as you've heard, that is seeming like a far cry for far too many of our folks here in Putnam County. So not only is this the right thing to do by the people who have dedicated their lives to their neighbors and to their communities, but economically over the long term, the county will benefit from this. County government will benefit from this. The numbers bear that out. So I encourage you to please consider that as well, that long term, this is a net benefit economically as well. And appreciate you very much.
Thank you. Is there anyone else from the audience? No. Okay. I think I'll go to Adrian. And then you can explain, I think there were some questions of how we came to that determination of the percentage.
Yes, yeah, absolutely. So way back when, back in '93, it was a flat dollar amount, as many of you know. And then, of course, we know health insurance premiums have more than tripled, and I'm sure that Acting Commissioner Gordon could speak to that. Moving, fast forwarding, we had in our contract years of service as a category for, the premium contribution rates. That was subsequently changed and removed in 2015 with Reso 227. So the feeling was that it was more equitable to look at pension amounts rather than just years of service. I know Mr. Rogan had talked about tiered service or looking at some creative way to maybe approach that, which, maybe that would be something that could bear fruit, because if you just look at years of service, you can have folks whose earnings are very, on the lower end of things, and they may be paying the same as somebody who's at a much higher, annual salary. But anyway, so back in 2015, that's when retiree contributions were based on pension. In 2017, they eliminated the cost of living, the COLA adjustments, so that would no longer be considered when it was, in terms of the categories for health insurance, percentage contributions. In 2019, they added an additional category for 40K to 65K. Because it was determined at that point that those thresholds were too high. There was too much of a gap in terms of, pension amounts and cost. So there's a lot of things to consider here. Jane Mounier had mentioned, that for retirees, they're no longer part of a collective bargaining agreement. We did make some wonderful strides this year by codifying the resolutions as part of the CSEA agreement, and that would be something that would be and can be negotiated moving forward. So there have been many positive changes, even in terms of, they were talking about the percent contribution for active employees, and that certainly, we had that health review committee, and they determined that was really, an important piece, was recruiting and, retaining our workforce. So that's pretty much how we're here. We made some very positive strides, I believe, but it certainly sounds like, there's a lot more discussion to be had.
Now, I just want to know, the majority of people that are here this evening, did you have 25 years of service or more, the majority? Could you just raise your hand who had 25 years and more? Okay. So that's, I'm just looking to see, because that's how the other counties do determine. Third, yes. Okay, anyone from the committee have any questions or comments?
No, I'm just here to listen, and I certainly understand the position you're in. Health insurance is out of control. I'm this close to being retired, so I can certainly relate to that, and I appreciate you coming here to voice your concerns, and we'll certainly consider that. I think it's important.
I just want to say the same. I do support some sort of negotiation here, so I'm looking forward to some sort of resolution.
Okay, Erin?
So I want to just bring something to the forefront. I know we don't have the ability to get involved with contract negotiations, but we've been watching New York Presbyterian, where I'm sure a lot of us go for our doctors, and they're on the precipice of, are they going to continue to accept NISHIP or not? So travel is also going to become a factor for a lot of these people in the audience, and that's going to be adding to their gas. That's going to be adding to whatever kind of treatments they're going to, doctors. We have to factor in those types of things, wear and tear on their vehicles, a lot of things that we're not thinking about if one of the closest hospitals that we have no longer accepts our insurance and their insurance. So it's just something I want to bring forward for them, because it's a concern of mine. I think it's probably a concern of theirs too, and it needs to be factored in, I think, when that comes to the forefront, because Putnam Hospital can't do a lot there, and we don't have a lot of healthcare providers here. You have to kind of leave Putnam to really see specialists and things like that. So, you know, that's something that retirees have to think about, especially as they get older, and some of them end up with, you know, issues where they're going every week or, you know, monthly. It really becomes cumbersome on top of, like I said, the co-pays and, you know, the prescriptions and everything else. So I would like to see this discussed further.
Yeah, thank you. Well, thank you first to the committee for entertaining this, and thank you for doing it in a very public way that we are hearing from the people most directly affected. You know, also, you know, Jane and John were talking about the previous iterations that they went through as employees and then retirees, and some of us as legislators and administrators back 20, 30 years ago. We always seem to be nibbling around the edge with this issue, and we hear about prior promises, and those promises were made. When I started, they were made to me as well. And I think what I don't want to see happen here is a kick the can down the road approach. We've had blue ribbon panels before. Those are always public, but they're not done here in the public. This year, in the last few years, we've been very deliberate and purposeful about deliberating what we want to, what's on our mind about various public policy issues in the public. And I'd like, you know, we are the policy setting branch of this government, and wherever we land, I'd like us to do that in the public. I'd rather us not kick it to a committee of blue ribbon experts. I think we can work together with the taxpayers and with the people who are here today in a public way, and maybe just come up with one, and I'm just suggesting this, and this, I know we're not voting on anything, but one dependable percentage that would apply across the board. And I wasn't on the legislature in 2015. It was in between my gap in service. But I think what happened in 2015 was a way to address some of the things, Jane, you and I heard 30 and John 30 years ago. We had somebody here, and I don't even know if she's still alive. She was somebody who came to us and spoke to the legislature back in the early aughts, 2004 or 5. Her pension was less than $10,000, and yet 80% of that, if she was being taken by the health insurance premium, and they were a lot lower back then, the health insurance premiums. So that's always going to be a movable ball. That unfortunately the health insurance premiums, and I'd like us to land somewhere, and it can't be negotiation because we can't negotiate with the union, but you're not represented, but retirees are not represented by the union. So I think we're going to be okay with that, but I'd like to land somewhere where there's reliability in planning. Like Dot was saying, you know, it would be nice to have one of those prices that don't go up for them. Now, realizing that the prices are going to go up for the taxpayers. So we've got to be mindful of that as well. But broken record that I am, I'm going to talk about the fund balance we have. We're sitting on about $90 million in fund balance. I think. Actually, if you could hang on a second, 80 million, is that unassigned or assigned?
Some of it is unassigned and some of it is assigned. So as
Well,
you
if-
know better than me.
If I could reclaim the floor though, yes. A lot of that is assigned fund balance, or no, some of that is not assigned fund.
Some of it is unassigned.
Right. Part of what we've been doing, if we want to talk about that, we can. I'm not going to call it a shell game. Part of the problem with the way this county government's been managing fund balance is that we assign fund balance as if it's a reserve fund. And the general municipal law has certain and it's not part of the general municipal law restrictions under Articles, Section 6 of the GML. We have over $90 million between us, non-restricted fund balance, we can call it. Would you agree on that? Okay, non-restricted fund balance of at least $90 million. You would agree with that?
80, 90, 793, 45 cents.
And the balance of that is restricted or assigned?
So it's all together, and
No,
that's
yeah.
35% of our budget that we have.
In other words, that restricted or non-restricted?
That's the whole total. that I
The
have.
whole total. Okay, then we must have spent a lot since the 2024 budget because it was 90 million 2 years ago. Anyway, I'm not walking around with $80 million in my pocket either. So it's still a lot of money, okay? So my point is that the lion's share of that should go directly back to the taxpayers. But I think we can leave some crumbs on the table to help regularize this, this uncertainty for people who've served the county for many decades. So that's my 2 cents. And today, you know, we're not, as the chair said, we're not going to make any decisions today. But I hope we, in the public and with conversations with not only the people in this room, but others, we can come to a conclusion soon on that. So thank you.
Thank you. Now, I think we could, and maybe should consider how the other counties do the years of service. The contractual provisions for, 20 to 24 years and 25 plus years. So there's a difference. And I think we need a further discussion on that and to possibly consider that and not how we actually do it now, as far as the amount that you retire with, the amount that your retirement is. Because many people have worked 25 years and still don't make, in their retirement, didn't make 40,000. So we have a lot to consider. Like I said, this is only on for discussion tonight, and we will consider all options. Legislator Montgomery.
Thank you. I like Legislator Birmingham's idea that this should be deliberated in public. And with that, I'd like to request that the committee consider putting this on the agenda as a standing item on the agenda monthly until it's resolved, until we do have a resolution and something for approval. And I have a couple of questions. My understanding is 1993 was the first resolution where this changed. Then in 2015 with resolution number, and Adrian, you did say the number of that resolution. 227. And then again in 2017 and then 2019. Could I ask that the committee consider requesting from the legislative clerks that we compile all those resolutions? I did some research on this and tried to pull those. They're kind of hard to find, especially the 1993. It takes a long time, but I know the clerks do such a great job at finding those right away. But what I did notice in my research in 2017, when we eliminated the COLA, is it my understanding, and through the chair, can I speak to the director of personnel? We eliminated the COLA, but NISHIP continued to give those COLA increases. So the cost was passed to the retiree on those COLA increases as well.
So, yeah, so as opposed to compounding the pension amount, right?
Mhm.
It wouldn't put them in another tier.
Okay.
So it didn't bump them up.
But it's still added to the cost yearly for them, correct?
Of their pension.
Of their pension.
Yes.
Yeah, so that, I mean, when I was trying to understand what we were doing tonight, I was like, oh, well, this is a state issue, but really it's all of these changes over the years and the change we made last year regarding the retiree benefits, and can we do something similar for our retirees that what we did for our employees? And I would really welcome an opportunity to look at that.
I did want to mention, I know there was talk about going back to the years of service served, and I think that was changed in 2015.
2015, yes.
Because you run into the issue of, if I worked here for 25 years and if Adrian worked here for 25 years, but my pension is 45,000 and hers is 100, we're still paying the same amount. So I believe that was the reason that they went to the brackets of what your pension was going to be. That would be the base of what you were paying for retiree health insurance. Now, I do know, as Adrian mentioned, when the COLA is added, we don't take that into effect when we're doing the retiree health insurance. But the premiums do go up every year. And I believe it was mentioned that the cost does come to the taxpayer, who probably can't afford health insurance to begin with on their own, who pay at 100%. What a benefit it is to have the county pay a portion of our insurance when we do retire. And I think that's a benefit that we should be, appreciative of, because not everybody even is entitled to that benefit in this day and age.
Thank you. Legislator Regan.
Thank you, Chairwoman. First and foremost, I have to make note of this for those who possibly don't know this in the room, but the champion of this issue being in front of us tonight is standing here in this room. John Mulroney, going back to November 5th of last year, the day after they started counting or stopped counting the votes where Jake and I won, has been pushing this issue and trying to get us to have this conversation that we're having here tonight. So if you are not already grateful to John for his efforts, please be so, because we're here because of all the work that he's brought forth with this. So thank you, John. Conversely, I have to mention what the acting commissioner of finance has brought forth here, which is, right, we are also the stewards of the county's finances. So we are going to be betwixt and between, but the fact that we are here tonight and we're having an open conversation, and I really appreciate the information that was brought forth to us from the attendees. I think this will really drive a healthy conversation, because the balance does have to be struck between protecting our taxpayers, but also recognizing what was mentioned earlier tonight, and it was an implied contract, and it may have been implied, but it is a contract that for those who serve places like Putnam County, there normally is not the same salary range that one would get in the private industry, with the promise of a healthy benefit package upon retirement. So thank you all for coming here tonight, and it sounds like we're going in the right direction. We have some healthy discussions here. Thank you, folks.
Thank you all. Does anyone else have any comments? Yes.
If I could, I'm sorry.
Oh, boy.
Alex? I'm looking at and I'm not trying to beat a dead horse. I just want to make sure I understand it correctly. I'm looking at the 2004 audit.
2004?
Oh, I'm sorry, 24. My mistake. 2024 audit. Total fund balance in all government funds is 190,984,923. Of that, only 27,949,491, according to and I could be reading something wrong. I'm hoping to be corrected. Only 27,949 of 491 of that 190 million is either non-spendable or restricted. The rest is assigned or unassigned. I'm coming up with either an assigned or unassigned, realizing that assigned can be just poof, gone tomorrow. You know, we can unassign it. We're looking at, $150 million of either assigned or unassigned fund balance. Would you agree?
I don't have the 2024.
I've got it off of Emma.
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
I don't have
Okay. Okay. But no, my point is, separate discussion. I'll do it under audit. But the key to remember is that assigned fund balance is merely something that's been assigned, and it's not restricted. And so when I asked if there was non-restricted fund balance, we have about $150 million of non-restricted fund balance.
I would have to check.
Okay.
And before I came up in Munis, that was the number I did come up with.
That's
80 million.
probably the unassigned.
It just comes under fund balance. So I did
Okay.
a quick view of it, but
Okay.
I can double check.
Yeah.
And we
And separate discussion. I'm sorry to bore everybody, but I'm a dog with a bone when it comes to fund balance. Thank you. Thank you.
Tabs open.
Thank you.
They're coming out. Janet,
Did you want to?
Next time you put this on the agenda, if you can reach out to myself or Aileen, both of us, since you have our email, we'd appreciate it.
Oh, yeah.
We can make sure we get.
You were contacted.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you-
of course.
Thank you
Right.
very much.
Yes, oh, absolutely, we will. So I'll try to bring it on for next month, okay, and see what we can come up with, and I will send that out for you
All right.
beforehand. You can let everybody know,
Every month.
okay?
for your,
But we need to have discussion,
Right.
and,
Well, we appreciate your time.
Currently.
Thank you.
okay. Thank you so much, everybody, for coming out and voicing your concerns this evening. You're truly appreciated.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thanks. Good to see you.
You can stay till 10 p.m. tonight.
I want you guys to finish your meeting in a timely fashion.
Yeah.
Imagine if I had $80 million.
Oh, well, it's never good seeing you.
Okay, moving on. I just want to say, we have a meeting going on right now. Moving on to number 5. This approval for a fund transfer, 26T170. This is reclassification, account clerk to senior account clerk.
This is a me thing too.
This is. Yeah, just. We'll move it out. Okay, so this is senior account clerk, changing title, reclass, in the amount of $3,336. This is pretty straightforward, but if you would like to explain why.
So we have a current account clerk. Oh,
What happened?
You don't have to go home, but you can't stay here.
Okay. That's good. Everybody can hear now. Okay. Okay.
we have an account clerk in the finance department who, as of recently, has undertaken a lot of additional duties. We are short 2 people. And again, he's taken on a lot of duties outside of the account clerk title, and more of the senior account clerk title when it comes to reconciliations, you know, a world of other things. So we had a desk audit done with personnel. They reviewed the duties, the changes, and they agreed that it was the right thing to do to move him to senior account clerk.
Okay. Any questions or comments from the committee? Any other legislators? Legislator Montgomery.
I think this is a good example of what we were just talking about in assigned fund balance. So, as you said, we are short 2 positions. We, in the budget, have funded those positions, but they're not filled, and we're not spending down the salary. Tuesday night, we had a conversation about the cumbersome new Transpayer Tax Advocacy Act that we were going to pass, and the need, or how it was going to affect the finance department and labor. And, you know, they already maintain a very good detailed website. We're talking about adding more. So it's just an example of, we're already funding these positions. I hope we can fill them. And then if we do fill them, maybe then we'll have a discussion about adding those maybe webmaster capabilities for that employee. So we can
Because
add those things.
we would need a new position.
Down 2 people, that's a lot of work. And I'm
It is.
concerned about our employees as well.
If I can add, so I know you mentioned taking from unassigned and assigned, and it's actually, we had a retirement within the middle of the year that was unforeseen. So you'll see that we're taking the money from that line and just moving it over to this line. So there's no fiscal impact, and we're not necessarily taking the money from fund balance or anywhere else. It's just moving it from one line that, retired.
Would you be filling that position then for next year?
Hopefully.
Yes. Okay. Okay. I'm sorry. Yes.
Just a question, if I, through the chair could, and no, I can't direct this towards you, Commissioner or Acting Commissioner of Finance. This topic seems to have come up a number of different times already in the first 7 months here, where people are being reclassified in jobs. So, not understanding why, I'm going to ask the question, why? Why does Putnam County have so many people who are performing jobs that then get reassigned their titles? And I realized that it wasn't just specific to the finance department, but over the course of the last 7 months and the previous 12, I sat back there. This keeps happening. Why is it happening?
I would say, since I've been on, I've seen it happen quite often. So this is not anything new.
Okay.
So
But are we doing something wrong? Are we not doing something right? Why does it keep happening here in Putnam County?
I just think people get moved around for specific reasons, right? Maybe they have, or somebody retires, like they were saying. Maybe you can answer that better from your department and.
Absolutely. I think what happens is whether there's a need because of vacancies or just over time, they've assumed greater responsibility. So, they've taken the initiative, the needs have changed, and the position has now grown into something else. So that's really essentially what we do. We look at the job that's being performed by that individual and compare it to a spec to see, job specification, to see which is the most fitting.
And
job
thank you, and
Yeah.
through the chair, if I may, and I can appreciate that, but every commissioner or director who has sat in your position right there always makes a wonderful case why person A, B, or C is doing an exceptional job and needs to, it's always, it's always an upward position, right? A bigger title or a bigger salary. So the inquiry was on the grander scale. Is this problematic in Putnam County that, like I said, I think, we've had, anywhere between 7 and 10 of these occasions within the last, reasonable amount of time that this keeps recurring. And I don't know that answer. I'm asking the question out loud.
Any of us know that answer, because I think it probably happens in every county, I would imagine. It's not anything unusual.
I'm sorry, of course. No, of course.
Thank you. I just want to say that that's the way it should be. Like, I would hope that if I was in a job as a junior clerk, it would be the clerk, it would be senior clerk, and my role at the county would continue. And you just sat here and listened to like 40 people say how they spent 30 or 40 years here, and one person started in the mailroom and then retired as, a senior health director or whatever her title might have been. To me, I'm in the private sector, and that's how it happens. I started at one level. I took on more responsibility. Every year they ask you, set your goals. Did you achieve your goals? Did you overachieve your goals? And then with that comes a little extra salary, a little extra title or whatever. But to me, that's the way the world should work. You do a little more work, you get a better title and more money, and you stay in that, not in that company or the county. So I don't see that as an issue. I think that's kind of the way the world should work.
Legislator Birmingham had.
I agree with Legislator Russo. I agree with her thought on that. People should strive to go to the next level. One thing Paul and I have always talked about over the many years is, and he's claimed credit for this, and some would say some would say admit, and some would say claim credit, but there was never a desk audit. And a desk audit, just for people's, is when Adrian or her predecessor Paul would get a request like this. Okay, the county government has defined this job as A, B, and C, but this employee is doing job A, B, C, and D, and Paul, and I hope you do the same. Of course you would. You do a desk audit, and then see, okay, is this employee really doing A, B, C, and also D? And that's where I think the discretion has to come in more than it has, because as a government, we define what a job is. As a private sector employee, which many of us, if not all of us, are around this table, we know that private businesses have certain tasks, and it's not always up to the employee to decide what their job is. If somebody's hired to do A, B, and C in the private sector, and they do D as well, that's admirable. But if the employer only wants them to do A, B, and C, the employer shouldn't be. And we're not being forced to do anything here. Now we're voting on this, and it's our discretion. I'm not saying we're being forced to do anything. But if we define a job in a certain box, that job should be that job until we make a decision that we make a decision that more work is needed, not necessarily, although they are on the front lines, they certainly have a lot more experience than we do, but we should have at least a role in that, and that's what tonight's about, to say yes or no, and we're all gonna vote yes, because we always do. But, we've got to keep, because that's called job creep. That's called, it's not the person necessarily graduating to the next job, it's the job changing. And that's great, because we serve the public, and if there's a need out there for more work to be done for the public, and our employees are doing that, we should recognize it. But we should also, I think, have a more input, and that's part of your desk audit, to do that.
Want me to wait to?
Well, yeah, because I'm almost done with my sermon. And I don't mean to be so strong about it, but I mean, I've seen this a lot, and Paul and I, who I've known for 40 years, he and I are great. We jostle about this, but I think we do have to keep an eye on that. And I'm prepared to vote for this. I'm not saying I'm not, but it's just something I think just one voice in the wilderness every now and then helps to try and keep us in the bounds. So that's my sermon, and thank you.
Thank you. Legislator Montgomery, then Legislator Crowley.
I think Adrienne wanted to respond. If I may offer the floor to her first.
Yes, I'm sorry,
Thanks.
Adrian. I'm sorry.
What I
Yes.
was going to say is I understand what you're saying about job creep. It is up to the appointing authority to, if we do a desk audit or reclassification, and we determine that employee is in fact working beyond the scope of their duties in their assigned title. If the appointing authority doesn't agree with that, they can remove duties. So it's not a given that reclassification is going to take place. So just because maybe, I start assuming more duties, but it was never expected of me, the appointing authority could, say, no, we're happy with this individual remaining an account clerk,
Right.
and we're going to remove X, Y, and Z. So I just wanted to.
And if I could, just a quick thing, you're absolutely right, and Paul gave that same excellent and correct answer last year, but of course my snarky follow-up question was, have you ever denied a desk audit in the almost 50 years you've been here? And like I said, he said no. So.
Well, I can say yes.
And I'm okay, but
because there have been situations where the appointing authority was like, no, we just don't, we don't have the means, and, we'd rather reassign. So it has happened. It's not, yep.
So would you say the majority of time the individuals are asked to assume more responsibilities? They're asked to do this, right?
Oftentimes they are,
Right.
yeah. Or
So,
the
yes.
position's just morphed
So-
into, again, a
So
higher
of course,
level.
if they're
so-
asked, they should be rewarded with
Correct.
pay. They can't, would not assume more responsibility without getting paid more, is my. Okay, Legislator Montgomery.
Thank you.
Thank you. I appreciate the depth of this conversation. I realize it goes way beyond what this $3,000 transfer is, but it is something that I've been observing since I've been on the legislature, going back to how we started this conversation. And it's my observation. Well, I also want to say, of course, it's important to encourage someone to go from account clerk to senior account clerk, and we should be encouraging that in the county, as well as, more education and higher education, as I pointed out in the health committee. But my observation is that while we do this, if you see what we get every month in our vacancy control report, it's astounding how many vacancies there are. And what happens, my observation, is when we do this, oftentimes that lower position isn't filled. It's not like we don't need it. It's not like we didn't need those nursing positions. But instead, what we do in this county, as I've said always at budget season, we seem to be bolstering upper management, and we'd have very few boots on the ground employees. And that's been my concern for a long time. So, while we see that vacancy control report with all those vacancies, again, back to the fund balance, we're still funding them. It looks like, we're doing great with our budget, but we've got this huge packet of vacancies that we're paying for, we're not filling for whatever reason. Do we need better benefits, more salary? And that's my concern is always, do we have the boots on the ground? We just had a major retirement in the health department, but instead of hiring a boots on the ground person, and you've heard my conversations with the health department in trying to fill nursing positions, that never happened in 6 years that I've been fighting for it. We hired a deputy director. So here we are.
Legislator Crowley.
I was gonna say, I think a lot of times that these people are taking on other roles because of vacancies. And they are striving to do better, but they're also striving to make sure that their departments are taken care of and they're functioning because they have to, unless they have somebody else that's hired, right? So I'm not saying it's the right thing to do, but if they're stepping up to the plate and we don't have people knocking down our doors right now because our insurance is high and we don't pay as much as other counties, unfortunately, that's what happens. So we do need to make initiatives to get people to knock down our door to come fill those vacancies. But until then, we're lucky enough that we do have people that step up and want to do the job, take the initiative, and fill in those spots. So I'm going to say thank you to them, and thank you to the leaders that help them feel incentivized to do those jobs.
Any other legislators? Anybody from the audience? Any comments, questions? No? Okay, I make a motion to approve fund transfer. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Number 6 and 7 are FYIs, and 8 is other business. Seeing we have no other business this evening, I make a motion to adjourn. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Yeah, I just need it.
Welcome to the Physical Services Committee meeting for July 16, 2026. Would everyone please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, please.
Present.
Present.
Present. Thank you. Okay, item number 3. We have discussion for the future of 34 Gleneida Avenue, right here in Carmel. We have an opportunity to change the look of 34 Gleneida. This building has been up for sale for the last 7 years. The legislative body today is different than it was when it first went up for sale. We've had offers. We had a very good offer last time, but there is a group of legislators who don't want to sell the building. So that's fine. So we took it off the for sale list, and now we're here discussing the future of what we're going to do here. First of all, we have the current occupant, Jim from United from the Troops. Would you like to come up and say a few words?
Good evening, everybody. I'm Jim Ratchman, co-founder of United for the Troops, and most of you know what we do. Most of you have been with us as volunteers. In the past 20 years, this is our 20th year, we had no idea what was going to happen. We're coming around to sending our 40,000th gift box to our deployed military, which is an incredible feat with all volunteers. So we really don't have a budget. We rely on monies from outside, from donations, from companies, from banks, and that's what we've been doing. We've been at 34 Gleneida, I think it's coming up on 10 years. The county offered us to use the building. Certain things have changed. We pay certain amount of monies to be there. I'm not here to say, please don't take away 34 Gleneida. I'm actually here to say thank you for having us there for so many years. Would it be advantageous to us in our mission to remain there? Absolutely. We are a not-for-profit. As I said, we're all volunteers. We have a limited amount of money to pay to be anywhere. So let me just go back again. I just want to say to the County of Putnam, thank you for all these years to be there. We will not be screaming and yelling about it's not fair. We have nowhere to go. I was here. Bill told me that there was going to be a meeting here, and that's my premise to be here. If there's something that can be arranged for us to stay there and the building can be taken care of, that would be wonderful. But that's not why I'm in front of this microphone now. So again, thank you all very much. There's so many familiar faces here. I want to say thank you, and we will back the county, whatever decision is made. Thank you very much.
Thank you for everything you do.
Mr. Chairman, we have additional for item number 3, which we're
We do.
discussing
I
right
was
now.
going to do that. We have an additional for number 3. It's a letter from Robert Kearns. I'd like to make a motion to accept it.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Okay, I'm going to read this letter from a councilman in the town of Carmel. Dear Legislator Goldman, I'm writing regarding tonight's public forum on the future of 34 Gleneida Avenue. Unfortunately, I am unable to attend in person this evening, but I wanted to reach out directly to thank you for organizing this forum and giving Putnam County residents a direct opportunity to voice their thoughts on the property. Creating this kind of open dialogue with the community is exactly the leadership this issue calls for, and I regret not being able to be there tonight to hear the discussion firsthand. As you are aware, this property sits within the town of Carmel. As a town councilman and I look forward to serving as the town supervisor, I want to know how seriously I am taking the future of this site. I have forwarded this public conversation closely, including the many comments on social media from residents advocating for a youth center or community center in this location. I agree that this kind of investment in our youth and families is a long-term, and the town of Carmel intends to take a leading role in pursuing this vision. To help protect the site and surrounding downtown corridor, while these conversations continue, I have proposed a moratorium on new site plan approvals in the HMC zone, where 34 Gleneida Avenue is located. This step was prompted in part by information suggestion that outside investors may be interested in purchasing commercial real estate along our downtown corridor, while the intent to demolish existing buildings and construct multifamily housing, I do not believe that outcome would serve our residents, and I want to work proactively to prevent this. Given the county's strong fiscal surplus, I would encourage you and your colleagues to consider an alternative vision for this property, transforming it into a passive park or courtyard with outdoor seating, creating an inviting green space that leads into our beautiful new courthouse. That courthouse represents a significant county investment, and right now it remains somewhat hidden from the public view. A thoughtful design park connecting the two spaces could give both sites the visibility and public value they deserve. Since I was unable to be part of tonight's discussion, I would very much welcome the opportunity to sit down with you afterwards to hear how the forum went and discuss these ideas further. I believe there is a real potential for the county and the town of Carmel to collaborate on a shared vision for this site, one that reflects what residents have been asking for and makes the best use of a truly special piece of downtown property. Please let me know the time that works best for you. I am glad to meet you at your convenience. Sincerely, Robert Kearns, Town of Carmel, Councilman. Okay. We also have here with us Rick Ottmer. He wants to talk a little bit about his vision of what we should do here.
Hello, everyone. Sit here.
Sounds good.
Stand there.
No, have a
You
seat.
can sit there.
All right. I'm coming before you tonight as a lifetime resident of Putnam County and a veteran and a former legislator. I'm going to make some points where I'm actually in agreement with Councilman Kearns about taking the building down, but I just want to preface it with Jim. I was overseas in the military. My sons are combat veterans. My father was a wounded World War II. I'm very pro-veteran. There was nothing like getting a package from home. And back then, you had to wait for a helicopter to be in the area to get mail. There was no email or any of that other stuff. When you were gone for months on end. So it's not. I want to definitely support United for the troops. All right. Let me. When I was a legislator, I worked I served the last year or two with Dan, and I think Bob Bondi was 1 or 2 years myself. And Bob's initial plan that he told me was to take the building down so you can view the brand new courthouse. It's the county seat to have a green there. And then what happened was, I know they had to do repairs to this building, so the county clerk had to go into the 34 Gleneida, because they needed a space, an alternative space. And also, speaking to him, when they were building the courthouse, they were supposed to simultaneously demolish the building, but it would have been a cluster, you know what I mean, here. Building one and ripping down the other at the same time. So as circumstances evolved, and I was a legislator at that point, and I used to fight with Mary Ellen Odell all the time about it. She wanted it up, and I said, Mary Ellen, when I was a kid, it was a car, it was Putnam Motors. They sold cars there. And it's not a good-looking building. Also, I think Donald Trump and Joe Biden and myself, we all like to steal documents from the government. So these are the original blueprints of the building, the courthouse. There's no Putnam Motors in front of it to show his intention.
Do you have that?
Right? Do I have? Oh, can I go on the screen? I took some pictures. I was here 3 years ago speaking about this, but it wasn't the right time to speak. So here's the situation we have right now. I am the vice commander of the American Legion Post, Carmel 10270 right here. That building was built in World War I. Guardian Revival got a $500,000 grant. We are in the process of renovating that building for the past year. Our intention is, when Guardian's going to help take over, to have it not only for the veterans, but for the first responders and the police of the county. They do the Dwyer to Dwyer, vet to vet counseling to get money from the government that funnels through your office. And so that building is presently under construction and renovations right now. There's the building, that's what we're looking at. There's the beautiful courthouse. You have Taylor Swift behind you with Phyllis Diller in front of her, right? So the next.
This is 34 Gleneida, that's the courthouse, if you aren't familiar with that.
Okay.
You have to explain who Phyllis Diller is for half the room.
These youngins don't know who that is.
All right, so this is I was able to get an
Jake,
IT
pull it up.
person to make it disappear. The only thing I would do different here is I would flip the existing road to the left of the Memorial Hall, so next to George's on the other side, so you can have the green next to the VFW American Legion in front of the courthouse. When we have protests and we have rallies, we have the Christmas parade and and hopefully Carmel or Mahopac win the other towns win a football championship. We have people all over the place right on the road. We need some park space in a green. And that's, it's right on Lake Gleneida. So to me, you go to these New England towns and they have these beautiful greens and these, this is our county seat. And I just couldn't imagine an apartment building in front of it to block it out, but that's what it was meant to look like. I'll bring a point up. I'm asking for everyone to have vision here. I still remember in 1964, I'm dating myself, I was a kid, it was Easter weekend, and the Thompson House on Mahopac, right on the lake where Four Brothers is now, burnt down. I went down the hill on my bicycle. I was about, 9 or 10 years old. I watched the whole thing burn down. It was on for 24 hours. And at that time, the Carmel Town Hall was still in McAlpin Avenue, the little house in the middle of the street. It was the historical society, but it was the jail down below was actually Adrian Iazoni's father was a desk sergeant. It was an Andy Griffin jail. It was a little country town hall. So they were looking to build a new Carmel Town Hall and police station. And when it burnt down, I remember my mother in the kitchen saying, the town's got to buy the property on the Thompson House. You could have the beautiful town hall and the police station on the lakefront. You could have, you need public property on the lake. And the next thing you know, there's a freaking A&P there. And the A&P morphed into Four Brothers, which has good food. I'm not, and then they built, I call it the penitentiary on the lake. Those apartments are hideous. You had beautiful lakefront in the cove there. And now the only thing that the town of Carmel has is Godson's old property, that little peninsula where I used to catch catfish. So I'm asking you to have vision. This is what we can have. This is our, I'm sorry.
Did you give it to the restaurant to cook?
I ate it myself. So, but I'm asking you to have vision, and this is our county seat. And right now, when they have protests and rallies, they're all in the old courthouse steps, and everyone's hanging out on the street. It's crazy. And when we have Memorial Day and Veterans Day ceremonies, we're on the front lump of grass in front of Memorial Hall. You can't hear what anyone's saying. And and it would be great if we could have ceremonies and everything on the side. I spoke to the bench and bar of Putnam County. They are not allowed to make a statement because of their positions, but secretly they're all for it. They're all for it. I want to make sure I get everything done here. Wow. Okay, can we shift to the next one? Beth, I'm sorry. Oh, the same one. All right, there we are, another view. Keep going. Same thing, it's blocked out from the lake. There you beautiful view of Phyllis Diller. Keep going. All right, here we are looking from the courthouse out. All right, you're looking at a block wall. I know there's raccoons that live there. Now, in my vision, if you built an apartment building there and the judges are up in the second floor, they're going to be looking at some guy standing there in his underwear making macaroni and cheese in the stove out the front window of the beautiful courthouse when they could be looking at the lake. And that's what we're looking, this is our county seat. What a beautiful view we have right now. So, I want to make sure I hit all my points. And that's, I guess that's about it. I just want to show you, give you a visual. We have a chance here not to have a beautiful public building on a lake and not a A&P or these horrible apartment buildings. So I would love to see this taken down and made into a green space. And that's it. Any questions for me or?
Thank you. Committee have any questions for the
Thank you for
legislature?
letting me appear.
Before, anyone in the audience, I'm sorry, go ahead. Anyone in the audience have any questions or comments?
I just have one more quick thing. When I appeared before you 3 years ago, Jackie and Abby and Wayne Ryder had found a place in Putnam Valley. I don't know if it's still available for United for the Troops. Jim, right, they spoke to you about that? I don't know if that's still available, but I know there's places we can go. And before we take down one shingle off the roof, we have to find an alternative place. That's a priority as a veteran and father of veterans and everything else. That's a priority for me. So hopefully I would appreciate it if you guys would.
Legislator.
Thank you. Thank you, Chairman. Thank you so much for the visualization tonight, because as a person who didn't have the long-standing knowledge and history that more and more keeps bringing forth, understanding it, but the visualization is excellent tonight. And now I'm solidified in the feeling which I came to within the last 60, 90 days, which is I don't think that we should sell this property. And I understand this was a long-standing debate for so many different reasons. And, of course, everybody would do everything we can to make sure United for the Troops are cared for. But thank you for your presentation tonight and solidifying what I thought was the right decision. Don't sell it. This is in front of the county courthouse. God's not making any more land, and it's an important location that I didn't think that we should put onto the market. So thank you so much for your presentation.
You were a good man.
Legislator.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, except, I don't know if you know this, but what would the cost be to remove, to take down the building?
That I don't know. I know, I don't know. That's not a question for me. It's not bringing any income in right now, so. But I know we have our shared service highway agreement now, and I know.
You have any ideas?
Take Richie about 2 weeks with a sledgehammer.
Give me a bottle of whiskey and I'll come right back.
Okay, any questions from the audience? Comments? Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Richie. Thank you.
I put this idea out in social media the other day, and a lot of responses to this. I'll just give you a few. Keep United for the Troops at that location. A community center, which Councilman Kearns just said they're working on one in the area. Put a bar or restaurant. Parking doesn't work in that situation. Community arts center, similar thing. Parking doesn't work in that situation. A place for homeless vets. Fabulous idea. Maybe we could do that at another location. Office space with no parking. That's a very difficult situation also. Is there anyone else in the audience that has any suggestions on what they would like to see at 34 Gleneida? Come on up. State your name, sign the book, and tell us what's going on.
My name is Paul Kamoda. I'm actually a Connecticut resident. I came here tonight because my office is right down the road. And just for the record, I don't own any property in this area, but I felt very strongly about this. Look, I consider Putnam County an oasis in a very vast, ugly desert around us. I think for the last 40 years that I've been here, you guys have got it right most of the time. You get a lot of criticism, but I think you do a hell of a job. I think most of the town governments around here do a pretty good job. And that's why I stay here. I kind of love Putnam County. So I look at that property, I say, there's no way you can develop it. There's no development that belongs there. You don't have any park benches on the lake. So you really want to bring people, this is an historic place. You want to bring people into this area. You should be having benches on the lake. You should have This park should have a little water feature to it, nothing extravagant. We don't need to do extravagant here. You want to open it up. You want people walking the sidewalks here. You want to see George's here 30 years from today. We don't want George's to disappear. We didn't want Smalley's to disappear. You really want it to come back. You don't want affordable housing here. Look, it's nothing against affordable housing, but the amount of affordable housing should be proportional to the amount of residents you have that will qualify for affordable housing. Otherwise, you're building affordable housing for somebody else. If your residents need it, there should be enough for them. Do you need more housing here? Damn, you do. But you need it for young people. Because I look around, there's a lot of people like me, silver hair, getting up there, still having fun, still loving what I'm doing. But it's time for a new generation here. And I'm very supportive of these younger people who are coming into politics here. I think Mr. Kearns hit it right on the head. I really do. I think that's it. He's got some good ideas. Hopefully he can. I've told him, your youth and your energy is your advantage. Your youth and your energy is your disadvantage. Don't run too fast. Go slow. And so I'm here to say, I love Richard's idea. You could do something nice. I've been here a long time, and I've seen guys like Al Latriciano, who's 90 now. I want to, recognize the veterans, but I think there's some people in the hamlet of Carmel who have done incredible work over the years. There should be a plaque for those people. Guys that are getting up there in their 80s and 90s, who watered the flowers on the street every day. So I hope, you were sitting pretty good financially. You have some extra money. You're not like you're hurting for money. Think about the future. Let's make Carmel even more special. All right, kids? Thank you very much.
Thank you. Anyone else in the audience have any comments or suggestions on what to do in that location?
I do, but do I have to get up and talk?
Come on up, come on up.
No, I don't want to.
You can sit down and talk.
I'm a terrible public speaker. I just wanted to say.
Just state your name.
Oh,
Just
sure.
Tell us who you are.
Sorry, Angela Briante. I have two schools of thought. One is if it remains up, I feel strongly it should be retail below, and they can be apartments above. We do have obviously a shortage of parking there. So in unison with the town of Carmel, they need to work with the lack of parking. Okay, so that's, one avenue, and I think there's some challenges with that, but with the support of the town of Carmel, that's a possibility. But again, we are losing our main streets. There are 5 properties in the hamlet, the town of Carmel, that have been flipped to, instead of commercial on street level, residential. So that's a topic in itself. The other thought is to take the building down to see the beautiful courthouse, but don't just take it down, honor our veterans and flagpoles, courtyard, get the county people out of their building and eating lunch around this thing. Have a food truck come once a week. Have the local Greek restaurant, have them, come up and have a cart and so just get people out and enjoying the lakefront, essentially, getting fresh air and having, if you look back at some of the historical photos on that strip, there's more people on the sidewalks then than there are now. So I think that should be a focal point. It's the nucleus of that lakeshore there, and I think it needs to be beautiful. So if it is sold and goes in the direction of retail, which I do think is a challenge, it needs to have the proper facade. But I do think the courtyard, the beautiful honoring our veterans with flags is a really way to go too, because it does allow the courthouse to be seen. That's my 2 cents.
Thank you for your comments. Anyone else like to say anything?
I just have one more comment. I think
Use the mic. It's harder to hear without that. Come up here, use the mic. It's easy on them when they gotta
Transcribe the thing. I think you should petition this committee, the city of New York, and there should be park benches along this lakefront, so people could come with their kids, sit there, the kids can roll a soccer ball, whatever the case may be. It's a travesty to have a lake like this and not make it accessible to the public. It's really only people drive by it and look at it. It's wrong. And I think if you guys petition the city as a governmental body, I think you'll get some a decent response for them because they know it's ridiculous. All right, guys. Thank you. Good night to you.
Thank you.
Anyone else?
One more thing. The,
Come on.
the lake shore is filled with trees, and I had a photo pop up from like 6 years ago. It was all clear. Now it's all hidden. So I think we do, to Paul's comment, we do need to focus. If we can't go on the lake shore and use it, at least it should be kept beautiful and it's kept.
Thank you. What's that?
And maybe our DPW knows better, but this was something that Carl Albano had a real fight with the DEP. They will not allow you to cut or cut down anything in front of Lake Gleneida, which makes it just look ugly and overgrown. And I think it's a problem with New York City. And I think what Mr. Camarda was talking about is maybe we need to petition New York City a little bit further. And I know it's been a fight for many years to get them to allow us to take a weed eater out there. I know Carl's would do it. He's like, better to ask for forgiveness than than permission. He'd go out there and start cutting stuff down.
Thank you. Any other legislator like make a comment? Legislator?
Yeah, thank you. I think we've heard some really fantastic ideas this evening, and with the building being off the market, I think, it can't just sit there. There has to be a plan moving forward, whether it, whatever that may be. So I think I'd like to propose a way forward. Is I think first off, I think we should do an engineer study on the building, because if we decide to keep it, we got to know what's going on in there, and if we decide to level it, we also need to know what we're taking out. But I think that we should also, and I'm just workshopping, bring in like a consulting firm. Somebody who really, these professionals in economic development, to sit down with stakeholders in our community, people with these ideas, and just really do an analysis on, because we have some empty storefronts right down the road too, how, the decision we make next, how that could affect positively or negatively filling those spaces, keeping a good business sector. This is the main corridor in Carmel. Whatever decision we make is going to be very impactful. And it's going to have an effect on really the trajectory in which that corridor goes. So I think that we need to be serious about doing something with this, because it can't stay like that. There's absolutely no way. So I propose that we could get the ball rolling maybe by having an engineer come and look at the building and just to see what's possible either which way before we approach it, and maybe even bring in some serious professionals to work with the ideas that were presented before us. And so we could look at data too. That way we're not voting on an idea, right? We could see some type of numbers, some type of data backing all the different ideas people have. And it'd be easier for us to make a decision that way too, a more informed decision.
Thank you very much. Any other comments?
Sure.
Rick?
Richie Othmer, District 10.
Yeah, we've been talking about this since I was a legislator. And the one thing I hated about the legislator is that we table it and we table it and we table it. And the years go by and the building's still going to be standing there. We need an engineer to build things. We don't need an engineer to knock things over. Just pull the pin on the grenade and blow it up and get it done with. Just don't procrastinate. Just get it done.
Anybody got a blast permit?
Sometimes things take a lot longer than we all want. Okay, if you're in the audience and you're watching this on television, if you have any comments or suggestions on what we should do with 34 Gleneida, please reach out to the legislative office. And if we get comments, then we'll discuss it next month and we'll put this up for a vote at that time. So thank you very much for everyone's discussion, and we'll get something done there. Thank you. Okay, moving on to item number 4.
Bye-bye. Thanks.
We have an update on Continental Village, Sylvan Pond Aqueduct Road, the status of the dam. We have
the Commissioner of DPW and the Deputy Commissioner, Tom and Joe.
Thank you.
I do.
Good evening, everyone. And one last piece, 34 will not go through another heating season, just so everyone's aware. So, the boiler's been taken out, actually fell apart last year. So whatever heat we were able to kind of Band-Aid last year, it's not there, it's gone, totally gone. And Richie's, right, was a small family of raccoons living there, for a little period of time, so.
We could make it an animal sanctuary.
It was for a while. It was the loft area.
Dog care for employees. That's my idea. Or tear it down.
The dam is we've got we've got over half a dozen dams that we're monitoring. We inspect, and along with our department and also with the DEC. This specific dam, we're still trying to negotiate with two of the, they all take a long time, obviously, and because we're dealing with other state departments too. And we're dealing with two landowners, property owners that we need to negotiate with. There was three set of plans that came back from our engineering company that did a study on it. Right now, we have taken no action on it whatsoever. We did have a tree come across the dam last week during the storm, July 4th storm. And we just finally got a plan from the DEC on Friday, how to take that apart without ruining the dam itself. So, we will start that Monday morning, actually. We just got that. But as of right now, there's no action been taken on that besides, taking out the tree and then doing corrective work on the loss of the tree and the dam itself.
Thank you. Any comments or questions from the committee? Any comments from the legislature? Legislator Montgomery?
Thank you, and thanks for honoring my request to put this on the agenda, and thanks for coming out to discuss it. I haven't had an update in a long time, so, and I don't recall if way back when, I don't even know when it was. I did indicate it in my memo requesting it, but did we have, when the DEC came out and spoke to us at that full legislative meeting a very long time ago, did we have the 3 set of options from the engineer at that point? No.
No, it wasn't complete yet.
Okay,
Yeah.
so can we understand what the 3 set of options or plans are that has been recommended by the engineering company, and can we make the public aware of what they are?
You know, we can send the plans to you to take a look at.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, we have this, robust community there in Continental Village who, as you know, is very concerned and vocal about what happens with that dam. And again, like 34 Gleneida, there's a lot of different ideas. So, you were generous to come out to one of their homeowners association meetings a while ago. I think the county executive came out to it as well. And what if those plans were presented to the public? And because I don't even know what the engineering plans are. I don't know what the options are. I mean, I've heard options way back when we were just discussing it. One was to remove the earthen dam and drain it. One was to shore up the dam, which would require concrete and a fenced-in area, and basically it wouldn't be attractive. It would be aesthetically unpleasing. And then I don't remember what the other. Actually, there were other options about slow releases here and there. I think that was one of them. So I don't have anything concrete, is what I'm saying, to share with the public and tell them what the options are. So if we can find out when their next HOA meeting is, or an HOA, since it doesn't sound like we're gonna move on this anytime soon.
In fact, if we didn't have the tree, we wouldn't get on it.
Mhm.
So,
And I didn't know the tree was down, and this actually only came, it came before the tree.
Yes, yeah.
And I was like, well, that's ironic. So it doesn't seem like we're gonna have any decision made or movement on this as of now. But in the future, I'm not saying their next HOA meeting, but possibly one in the future, if we can come out and share those engineering plans with the public there.
Yeah, we were lucky to have one of the neighbors that we had to have an agreement with for temporary easement, gave us an easement this week to go out and cut in our own easement to get to our own easement. So that was a good move.
Yeah, I think what I understood from my conversation with Neil Toman, your employee, was that you were trying to get in touch with some of the neighbors there, and there was some difficulty and I offered to assist with that if I can. I mean, it's not normal for a legislator to be part of those conversations, but it is a small town, and I'd be happy to talk to them. But I don't know who they are, and I don't know what their number is or address. I mean, I'd be happy to even go.
It's with the law department now.
Okay.
I think Kate was working on it.
So probably not appropriate for me to talk to them if it's with the law department.
Let's talk about it.
Yeah, okay.
Any other comments from legislators? Legislator?
On a question. Thank you, Chairman. Gentlemen, with knowing as little as I do about this topic, but it seems to be that we're at the very least, we're hampered by the DEC in even having meetings and set up. Ultimately, at the end of the day, is it up to you guys to build any structures that may be agreed upon, or is it the DEC?
DEC full approval. So
DEC for approval, but then you've got to build it.
correct. And that cost goes back on the taxpayer, every taxpayer. So the thing with the DEC is looking to decommission as much as possible because that's where they want to go. It just makes sense. There's no maintenance, there's no risk. You take away risk and maintenance. Once you go into rehabbing, let's say, a specific dam, it takes on everything else: cost, risk, maintenance, all that stuff that goes with it.
So difficult to inspire them to join the effort.
They won't. They will not. I mean, we did apply, part of the conversation from 24 was looking for alternate grants that, Legislator Montgomery was saying, the last thing people want is to look out. Not right now, most of these dams are on this area, you're looking out into a body of water that is blue algae, right? So it's not attractive. It's not, it's attractive in the spring, the fall. There's really not much there. To get approval from DEC, not only would you have to rebuild a structure, you also have to put in all sorts of outflows and inflows, right? With that, then it becomes the security part. So they would like to see a large fence go around that whatever that body of water is. It's a bigger body of water in spring and fall. It's not much of anything, but who wants to look at a fenced-in area? Not to mention migrating animals and things in and out of it changes that whole dynamic. So it's not an easy move.
It sounds.
And dealing with any of the state or city governments for all our properties, we tried to take down the trees just recently for Civil. They're dead pine trees behind Civil. We were allowed to take down 2 because they were actually unsafe. Even though the other 3 looked like, something out of Wizard of Oz went through, and we're not allowed to touch it. As far as the growth, that buffer barrier that's there, we got in big trouble 5 or 6 years ago when Carl was here, actually.
Yeah.
And, because the direction was you can cut it down to a certain height. Well, they gave us the height it was supposed to come down. We thought that was the height off the ground. So they went bananas for it. And we weren't allowed to touch it again. But again, that's the DEC's property now. So, including Philly and everyone else.
Let's set a call in.
Last year we had this discussion, didn't they reclassify the dams? And wasn't that part of the issue too, was they came out from the classification system with them and this fell into a lower class than it had fallen in previously?
Depending on what we do changes. So,
Yeah.
So right now it remains the same as it was right now. But if we did anything to it, it would change the lettering, yeah, and that changes, maintenance changes, all your engineering. Yeah.
Thank you. Thanks for that info. But my understanding is also if we don't do anything, we're at risk of being fined by the DEC.
Correct.
So what is the time
didn't-
capsule here?
Yeah, they haven't given us
Okay.
But again, they just gave us, they just looked at the options, and they haven't given us we still haven't gotten from them
So
what
you-
they expect us to do.
So you did give the 3 options to the
Yes.
DEC? Okay. All right, thank you. Thanks.
Any other comments from the legislature? Any comments from the audience?
Hey, everyone, I'm going to read my statement just so I get all my points in.
And don't forget to sign in though when you.
Yes, thank you. My name is Soyla Morel. I live on 16 Lake Court, Garrison. My property abuts Sylvan Pond, so I'm one of 2 neighbors that have been reached out to. My property abuts Sylvan Pond, and I have enjoyed this beautiful natural resource for the 10 years I've lived at Lake Court. It's not Lake Gleneida, but we love it just as much. As you consider an update for the future of Sylvan Pond, my statement represents my feelings and wishes about your decision to preserve or destroy this resource, but also it represents the opinions of 212 neighbors collected in person and online who have signed a petition to save Sylvan Pond. In addition, the petition includes 3 drawings from children who wanted to voice their wishes as well about the pond and the animals they love. Yes, there is algae. Yes, there is duckweed. And yet there's a thriving wildlife there, and we love it even when it's green. We've added pictures so that you understand this is not theoretical. This is where we live, and this is where animals live that we've come to love, who return year after year, who we've named. There's a geese couple, Fred and Ethel. I just want you to feel what this is and what this means to us. So this issue has been framed as a liability and a safety concern, although we have not had one since its history in colonial times. Our petition outlines 6 points for you to consider, and it's spelled out in the actual petition, but I'm going to abbreviate here. And that is that we do not pit neighbors against each other. It's not upstream neighbors versus downstream. We care about each other, and we have, and we collectively want to protect this resource. We need transparency in the decision-making process. I, as the person who abuts that property, should not be the only one who knows the 3 options, that it affects hundreds of people around me, and I don't represent them, right? I only represent myself. Maybe my stakes are higher, right? I live right next to the pond. And too many steps have taken us by surprise. Right now, there's an excavator there, and yes, there was a tree that fell, but we had to find that out, right? In the fear that an excavator is sitting there ready to do something that we don't know about. We request an accounting of budgeting and costs associated with the pond, not only because of its long-term neglect, but moving forward, what are the opportunities for either with grants or other possibilities to preserve this resource? The protection of wildlife. That in itself requires, right, that we understand, are we really going to be responsible for the lives of these animals who live there? Are they going to be moved somewhere else? Is that even possible? Do we not care about that? Is that not on your agenda as an important item? Living things, right, that are on that pond. The history of our Continental village, right? How that was there for the horses back in colonial times. Is that not important? We think it is, right? We're proud of our history here. We celebrate our history. We preserve it in other ways. And then the preservation of natural beauty. We don't want to be left with a field of skunk cabbage. And we think that we shouldn't have to be, right? We're neighbors, and we're all part of Putnam County, and we love our county. And we love our county when we see it in your neighborhood, when we see lakes and beautiful benches and places to be in your neighborhood, and we love it when it's in our own backyard. Since my property abuts the pond and the dam area, the county has informed me that construction may involve exercising eminent domain over portions of my property and the other neighbor, the Larsons. As a property owner, a neighbor, and a taxpayer, I join my community in asking that this board protect and preserve Sylvan Pond. We know that we are accountable to the DEC, but that doesn't mean we do whatever they say. We look for the options that preserve what is good for our community, for our county, for our neighborhood, for our children, for our posterity, for the look of our neighborhood as well, and for the lives of animals who we've all come to love. And in any case, you may not know Fred and Ethel, the geese that nest there every year, but that's their home, right? And it matters that they have a home here. We think that matters. That's why we bought our properties in this county. So I'd like to submit the signatures, including drawings from children who live here. So thank you for your attention.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other comments from the audience? Okay. This is just I'm sorry, I didn't see his hand up.
Hi, sorry. My name is Kendra Parker, and I live at 4 Ridge Road, which is also around the pond. So the pond is across the street from me. As Zoila mentioned, it is basically the center of every spring we go out and we clean it up. Little kids come and put on some gloves and have a great time picking up, whatever people have discarded that's revealed when the snow melts. It's to us, well, here's an example. It's been there as long as the roads have been there. It's been there when you go to the county executive's office, there's a giant aerial photograph with only 2 roads, and that pond is there. So it's not like it's some new thing that some developer made. The fact that it is an earthen dam is because it was made before there were, the more sophisticated methods. So we would like to see that the dam is made to a specification to protect, as she said, our downstream neighbors, which is why, the DEC is classifying it as it is, but also to keep what is the quality of our particular neighborhood. You like your neighborhood, so you bought your houses there for whatever reasons. I looked at 44 houses, and we pulled up to this one, and it was beautiful. And I said, this is it. I hadn't even been inside. So I really wanted to be there. And that was 26 years ago, and we're still there. So, and we brought up our daughters, and now they're going off to college. And we just bought the land next door about 1.5 years ago. The people who used to own the land next door, which is the lot also overlooking Sylvan Pond, they brought up their kids in our house. So we love our little neighborhood, and we just don't, as Zoila mentioned, we don't want to see it become a stinky swamp. It is spring fed, so that it's not ever going to dry up. It's not going to be a meadow. It's going to always be wet, and we'd like it to be wet with enough water to sustain. There's a mammoth snapping turtle in there. He's a big guy. There's a lot of other turtles that pull themselves up on the logs. We have a blue heron that visits almost every day. I just saw it again this morning. So it is a little oasis of ours, and we would like to see it maintained and to stay. Thank you.
Thank you, Kendra.
Any other comments?
Hi, I'm Walter Doherty. Go by Joe, my middle name. What's that?
Say your name, Walter?
Yes. I go by my middle name.
Okay.
I'm here to talk I guess representing Friends of Dixon Lake. We have a dam it's a low priority dam. It's not the dam that has been discussed at this point, but our dam is very damaged, and a beaver keeps rebuilding a dam using part of the embankments and such, and then that's torn down by the county.
Speaking to the mic, I don't hear you 100%.
Okay. We have a beaver that's been made the lake his home.
You have to discuss the topic on the agenda at the moment.
Okay.
Sorry. Thank you. I didn't hear you.
Yes.
What you can do is you can write into a legislator Goldman.
Okay.
Request be put on the agenda regarding this. And then they can, I'm sure you would.
Yeah, for next
add
month.
The agenda.
Next month.
That's the way to do it.
Okay.
Okay, you have to speak to the agenda.
Okay.
So if you need help tomorrow, I can guide you with it. Give me a call.
Great.
Right?
Thanks.
Thank
You
you.
got it.
I'm glad that Brett learned that his name is Walter today.
I also learned that.
I happen to know that. Cassandra Roth, Chair of Soil and Water District. I think the point with that is the relation of dams, right? And there's, I think, getting the best thing for this legislature and the community to do before they turn into problems. And my own board was pretty probably tired of me saying, I don't know if anyone's seen the movie Hopper. I'm doing a shameless plug here, but of water bodies in the community and the community of animals and things like that. And so it is something that you see, you know, in your backyard. It is something that impacts you, but also there is an infrastructure component to it. If this legislature had a meeting that was about the status of all of the county dams or something in the public purview, you could, in a one-stop shop, get everybody who loved their beavers or didn't, or loved their massive snapping turtles, things like that, all to just figure out what the community wants or whatever you do. I just wanted to get up right now and say that, like, these people, I'm sure, have countlessly emailed you. I'm certain because they're here tonight. You know, I've never met these three people. We have obviously had the pleasure of meeting Joe, unrelated dam, but a county-owned dam. Walter, Joe, Doherty. And we have a role that can support whatever you guys choose to do. Now, we can't do anything directly with the dams, but we can help with like the algal blooms and the things like that. There's certain funding that soil and water districts can obtain. So I would, one, encourage anyone who has a dam that perhaps is watching this one day, and the people here tonight, we have a new staff. I want to do a shameless plug of that. And so it'd be info@pcswcd.org that they could reach out to. Also, hopefully that takes the burden off of them coming straight to the legislature immediately. Maybe there's ways that we can work with them on the actual quality, but we want to be a resource and a partner. And I think what you're seeing is there's a lot of red tape. There's a lot of DC stuff. There's a lot of things like that. Any way that we can support, we're happy to do so, but they're disproportionately in this county compared to other counties per square mile, the amount of dams and lakes and bodies of water, it is a major thing. I think very disproportionately to the rest of the state. We learned that through some of our soil and water district meetings regionally. So we want to be here to support. We're trying to work with Joe how we can. But as the Soil and Water Conservation District, if there's something we can do as in agreement with the county to help facilitate those things that maybe the county is unable to get funding for, or, you know, not wanting to burden the tax base, we can certainly work with you guys to apply for various grants and things like that. But just would love if a lot of this got more either public conversation or traction, you know, behind the scenes, because I know these people have certainly been trying. Thank you.
Thank
you.
Any other comments? Okay, this is just for an update, so.
Thanks
move
for the
on to
update.
Item number 5. Are you guys doing it, or is Commissioner Gordon doing it?
Commissioner
Or you can
Gordon.
stay up there, I could go to the next one. Okay, we have an approval for a fund transfer, 25T 146, MTA Railroad Station Maintenance. This is for $16,742. This resolution is required to fully fund the MTA Railroad Station. Commissioner Gordon, would you like to speak on this?
So this is the bill that we get every year. We do budget for this bill, but every year it increases. We have no way of knowing how much it's going to increase. So every year we do budget for this again, and this year we had to take it out of contingency because it was more than what we estimated it to be. Next year I will increase it a little bit more. Hopefully it doesn't increase too much. But yes, that is the reason for this transfer.
Any questions from the committee?
Thank you, Chairman. Acting Commissioner, I understand this is not you. You're here representing a budgetary transfer, but I can't help but point out how the topic itself absolutely galls me. And the arrogance of the description does not even tell us what station in Putnam County. So do we know first of all, the idea of giving a CPI increase cost to the MTA, which is already taking from all of us in various ways through our paychecks and other things and sales tax, they're submitting a bill to us with really no detail on it. What station did they improve, and what station is subject to the consumer price index that they need additional money from us?
I don't have.
Forgive my tone because it's not you, but it just annoys me greatly as I clean up my language right there. In other words, we wouldn't take this requisition from anybody else. You wouldn't approve that. You wouldn't come to us with a generality. Something happened somewhere in Putnam, and by the way, it costs more.
Yep.
This is what we get from.
I think that's why they start when they send the bill pursuant to section 1277 of the Public Authorities Law and the State of New York. I think they throw that in there purposely. It's nothing I can do.
Understood. Would it cost us at all to send it back for clarification? Would it cost us at all to send it back and say, this is unacceptable? What stations in Putnam County did you improve upon? And that in lieu of that, you're asking for a consumer price index increase of the money that we already budgeted for you. Would it, and I'll ask the question through the chairman or anybody else, would it cost us anything to send it back for clarification?
No.
Good answer.
I can email. There's an email here actually. Carmen Panea. I can reach out and ask.
Clarification.
Right, thank you. Any other comments from the,
Thank you. This year there was an increase of $45,944. Is that basically what the increase has been over time? As you say, you see increase every
yes.
year.
Last year there was an increase as well. I don't know if the percentage was the same, but there was an increase last year, and I believe the year before that. I think it goes up every year. Again, I'm not too sure what the MTA uses as clarification for the increase. Again, as Legislator Regan mentioned, which station. But I can reach out to ask. But yes, it does increase every year.
That's a lot, 45,000, yeah.
thank you. Any other comments? Any comments from the audience? Okay, seeing there are no, I'll put this through and just find out, if you can.
Okay.
All right, do I have a second? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Okay, and one opposed. All right, item number 6. We have an approval for a fund transfer, 26T153 for a DPW, the Donald B. Smith Building 3 renovations. This is for $405,803.04. We have the Deputy Commissioner of DPW with us, and we have the Commissioner of Finance. Go ahead.
Yeah, so this is just funding for architectural and construction costs associated with renovating one wing of Building 3 on Donald B. Smith campus. We anticipate that this should cover the entirety of the costs associated with this project. So,
okay,
we've conducted a space study already to determine which departments would need which amounts of space in the given areas that we're identifying here. So,
thank you. Any questions from the committee?
Just a note, there's a letter here from Commissioner of Planning stating that she will not be using the remaining balance for EI and pre-K buses in this amount. So that amount is being used for another capital project. That's a lot. That's not being going into EI pre-K buses. That's a huge budgeting amount. How did that come about? I'm just curious.
she had suggested it in the capital committee meeting, but yet you'd have to discuss it with her as far as why it's not.
Is there going to
used
be
this year. I don't know the reasoning behind that.
pre-K buses
I guess she
in the
has sufficient
future?
amounts of buses now, so for her purposes moving forward. So.
Okay, thank you.
Any questions from the legislature? Legislator?
Thank you, Chairman. Deputy, I'm sorry, just because it's mentioned right here, and I appreciate the level of detail, but what does the Early Learning Center also have to do with this? It's mentioned on paragraph 2 of the letter from Alexis Hawley to Alexandra. A combination of the current adequacy of the fleet along with transportation efficiencies real due to the opening of the new Putnam County Early Learning Center results in funding surplus. Okay, so we're forgoing the surplus to allow for the Donald Smith project.
Yeah, I'm not quite sure what she's referencing there, to be honest with
Right.
you. Yeah, you'd have to discuss that with Barbara separately.
Yeah, we don't know. I'm not sure.
Maybe there are
about it.
services associated with the Early Learning Center. That they
Right,
can
a
provide,
surplus,
in line
surplus with the
that, I
Early
would say.
Learning Center?
Let's let it call her.
I'm not sure, but what I think I'm understanding is they budgeted for it and they're not needing the busing as much because they have the early learning center. Before we were busing people to White Plains, we were busing people all over, and they were budgeting a certain amount. This is our first year with the early learning center. Again, I'm just throwing my thoughts out there, but you know, there may not, with the however many spots we have at this time, I'm not exactly sure how many we have filled, but I think we've saved, you know, this much and we're reappropriating it from what I understand from conversations.
Kind of reads that.
Which would make sense, and that's a good thing, because it was built to save money and also keep kids from being on the buses for long periods of time and to have kids with sensory issues having to travel long periods. So it is panning out that we're saving money, so glad to see that.
Council?
I've been working really closely with everybody who's involved in this. I did the lease for the new learning center. And in terms of the busing, it is exactly what Aaron said. We were busing these, and they're pre-K, so they're little, and they all have special needs ranging from, you know, emotional issues to very severely like wheelchair bound. And some of them are commuting for up to 2 hours. Because of the early learning center that we're building now, we have 63 spots right now. There's only 6 children who we don't have in Putnam County the ability to meet their needs. And prior, it was way more than that. So this is a really big thing. And, you know, we have the law department and the Department of Health are really happy about it. So I'm sure you'll be hearing more about it.
Thank you. As Erin and legal counsel said, when they proposed the early learning center, they had budgeted already. And as time goes on and we're not busing kids out of Putnam County, they said we would see the expenses for busing go down and there would be a surplus. So it's working, as well as the kids are learning and staying local.
Any other comments from the legislation? Okay, there are none. Any comments from the audience? Okay, see there are none. We'll take a roll call vote. Go ahead. I'm sorry, do I have a second?
Second.
Roll call vote?
Aye.
Legislator Sage?
Yes.
Chairman Goldman?
Yes. Thank you. Okay, moving on to number 7. We have an approval for acceptance for Amendment B for 2025 through 2026, snow and ice agreement with New York State. Gentlemen?
Yeah, so this is the reimbursement we received from the state for maintaining their roads throughout the winter seasons. I think we maintain about 60 lane miles of road throughout the course of the winter. So this is to initiate that process with the state to get reimbursed for the funds that we incur.
Okay. Would you like to comment?
We do a great job.
Yes, you do.
Any comments from the committee?
Thank you, Chairman. So how do we track that, bro? Do every time we drop the plow as we're on a state road, do we start clocking our time to charge back for the state?
Labor, equipment, and materials are specifically.
Oh, so, all right. So we're dropping sand and everything too, right?
Salt. And sand.
So I mean, so seriously, I mean, how do you track how much work we're doing for the state? Are we getting all that we should back from here from New York State?
Yes.
Yes.
Tons of salt, man hours, and what's the other one I'm missing? Equipment costs. Yeah.
Right. So I mean, I assume, right, you're leaving the yard, you're going to a county road. There's a state road in the interim, so we're plowing and salting that one, right?
It's a route. Yeah. It's a state route, so our guys are on that. That's their route. Is that state route? including-
So it's a defined route, and
Yeah,
you're going to
including-
take care of that route.
including
So that's how
parking.
it's quantified. Okay, great. Thank you.
Parking rights, it's a couple of state parking rights we do also. so.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Do the same thing with towns. So.
Yeah.
Any other comments from the legislature? Seeing there are none, any comments from the audience? Okay, seeing there are none, make a motion to accept this. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Moving on to item number 8. We have an approval for capital project 26 CP02, County Park and Fire Training Center, communication, security, and access control. You guys like to speak on that?
Yep, to update the entirety of the campus there with fiber optic communications, access control, security, you name it. So it'll enhance the property and help with future endeavors there. So
Anybody who's been up there understands it's an absolute dead zone as far as cell service and that being a training center. It's very important to be able to get somebody gets hurt. So when we redid the training center, we actually laid all the pipe. Now this will finish and connect our upper park, lower park, and the training center all in one big loop.
Any questions from the committee? Questions from the legislature? Questions from the audience? No, I move this. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Okay. Item number 9, we have an approval for a budgetary amendment 26A060 Fund County Park and Fire. We just did that, didn't we?
This is the.
Yeah, that's the back.
Sorry. For the County Park and Fire Training Center Communications, it's for $75,000.
that's just the budgetary for the previous item we just discussed. So
Okay, any comments, questions? What's in the audience, legislator? Seeing there are none, I make a motion to accept this. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Okay, moving on, item number 10. We have an approval to oppose the New York State Senate Bill S.4571-A, the Floating Solar Incentive and Education Program. We have a resolution passed by the Putnam County Soil and Water Conservation District Board. Cassandra Roth, would you like to speak on this?
So you got the email. I know two of you are on our board. So Cassandra Roth, Chair of Soil and Water Conservation District. I need to be very clear that our district is not against solar, renewable energy, other alternatives and things like that. Specifically, in one of my previous comments here, Putnam County is a very unique position where we have the most, a disproportionate amount of wildly man-made dams and things like that, and just a lot of water resources down here. Disproportionate to other areas, per square mile in the state. But our water also feeds New York City, feeds our local communities. And so our board, looking at it, when you look at the actual legislation, the way it is penned, the way it is written, the part of it was to study the impacts, while also incentivizing, start and incentivize putting solar on water now. Our board had a long conversation about this, that, we were all in agreement, this unanimously passed out, simply because there's no restrictions in the way that is written now that says where it can and can't go. And then there's also, we've spoken about ORES, and we had an opposition resolution to that as well as a soil and water district. I believe this legislature did that as well. When it gets to a certain size for industrial scale solar, which, make no mistake, this will do. This is not going to be a homeowner solar incentive program where you get money to put it on your, tiny little stream in your backyard. That's not going to be the incentive that this will ultimately impact. So to be very cautious and to have Putnam County hopefully be the example. I'm not aware of other counties or other soil and water districts that have done this. There's been a lot of conversations between districts. I think we were one of the first ones to it. So to my knowledge, it passed out of the Senate, but it has not passed out of the Assembly. You heard tonight, there are a lot of water problems here. And as you're aware, our district has not been as able to do and implement and do those things as robustly as we can. And so there are a lot of funding for harmful algal blooms, things of that nature, but there's always not enough. You have Carmel Water District 2. That conversation's been going on for a long time. You have, things like county-owned or other dams that, DEC doesn't want to necessarily fund the stabilization of dams, but they are still affecting the water here in Putnam and then downstream as well. So before the state and Albany say, let's incentivize something that we haven't done long-term testing on, we should probably dig a little bit deeper first before incentivizing programs that are untested. I don't believe I left anything out. I mean, it is pretty straightforward, but I think for Putnam County to do this, I would encourage you all to strongly support this. It's not an opposition to solar. I don't want people to view it that way. It is an opposition to, part of the reason it shifted to bodies of water is because the fight for putting it on farmland was so aggressive. Just recognizing one natural resource does not mean putting it on another. Solar belongs on rooftops and municipal buildings, parking lots. I'm sure DPW can find a whole bunch of places to put it, maybe on like other sheds and things, but keeping our water bodies protected and not incentivizing it. So our entire board was in unison on this. I cannot say enough about it. I say lots of words always, so I will stop. But really hoping that Albany starts to prioritize the things that we all say related to water do not have enough funding, including dams. So I need to say that.
Any questions from the committee?
I have a question, but I 100% agree with this. I get really tired of Albany passing down their rules and regulations and telling us what we can and can't put on our property, including the proposed bill in New York State regarding the battery storage facilities that they want to put on, not allow towns to decide where to put these particular battery centers. It's about time they stop trading our natural resources in our towns, in our villages, in our farms for natural resource for energy projects, where they declassified or deregulate. I don't know. The Indian Point would have been plenty of energy for all of us. It was the safest in the country that they decided they wanted to decommission. I've spoken to someone there who worked at Indian Point for over 30 years and said it was the safest, cleanest natural resource that we could have in Putnam County, or that would.
Any other comments from the legislature?
I do. Can I respond to that? Just because I know what you're getting at.
Anyway, I was going to say it affects wildlife, and how long does the equipment last?
And it's ORES. So again, ORES is already real, right? It already has authority, and it has authority over solar facilities, 25 megawatts or larger, and wind facilities the same size. Now, that's when your town loses all home rule. And it happens expeditiously. It happens quickly. It doesn't matter what your town wants. And I know specifically, I read about it in Carmel, right? Everybody was excited because the battery storage was, there was a moratorium or it was prohibited, right? And reasonable. That's for a town to choose. But ORES exists. It is not dismantled. We passed a resolution that hoped it would be, or at least reined in, and it has not been. So there is nothing in this legislation that doesn't incentivize an ORES scale facility or, whatever it is, solar, ORES exists. So that was part of the concern of this, not for a local town to do what they want with, certain tiny areas. But again, water's not for it. And ORES does have full authority over those large scale projects that would be the most impactful.
Any other comments? Comments from the audience? Please speak a little louder and into the mic. Okay?
I'll use the mic. Hi, I worked in solar, designing solar since 2007. And I've designed solar for the county buildings in Putnam County. I've designed solar for many schools. There's a place for it. Rooftops are great because they don't harm, it doesn't use the land that has so many important purposes, whether it's our lakes or reservoirs, or even tearing down trees, forests to put solar in. It's not the way to do it. If you want it, I mean, we need additional energy, yes. And I guess the way that solar helps the utility company is it distributes the energy onto the grid in many different locations so that it minimizes the amount of current that has to flow, just from a single point to distribute all around. So it's beneficial to the utilities. But if clouds come by, it blocks the sun. At night, there's no sun. They don't produce. So this is where batteries come in to help augment and continue supplying the grid with extra energy. All the projects I've worked on, they've all been reviewed by town building departments, by engineers, they get scrutinized. To have the state just dictate that, well, you don't have a say in this, that doesn't make sense to me. Firefighters started out in California with all the fires with batteries, with the lithium ion batteries. They got cobalt out of the mix now, which that was one of the weak links that would cause thermal runaways very easily if there was extra resistance. The lithium iron phosphate and other technologies are far less susceptible to fires, but they do occur. And so it's important to have proper evaluation of installations, of every installation. So basically, that's what I wanted to say. I'm very much in support of the letter that Putnam County Soil and Water has put forward.
Thank you very much. Any other comments from the audience? In your honor, I make a motion to move this. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Okay, item number 11, other business. We have a piece of business here. I haven't read it yet, but we have Commissioner Gordon with us to explain what this is. Thank you. I'll make a motion to accept this. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Commissioner?
That's item
We were just given this, we walked in, so.
Yes, and that was my
Explain what
fault. We got it late. It's for chips. I don't have it in front of me, but it's the chips. Thank you. It's the CHIPS grant that we get every year. We budget for it. We get the letter in from the state later. I put it in late and it came in, and that's why I had to have the letter of necessity to put it on today. We're receiving the money, so we have to put the budgetary, you'll see the increase for the appropriation. That's the difference from what we had budgeted. We budgeted, I think, 1.5 million, and it came in at 2,118,608.52. So that's the difference, and the estimated revenues match the appropriation. You want to say anything?
So basically, it's for our paving projects, so that just notifies you and gets put into a line item so we can spend it.
Thank you. Any questions or comments? Go ahead.
Chairman, thank you. How does that happen? Is that your efforts? How do we get 2.1 when we thought we were getting 1.5?
We estimate, so that's the state, what the state gives you from the state budget.
Do you help push that along?
Well, that's part of the advocating from everybody, from senators, Slaters, to County Executive Byrne was up in Albany this year advocating for it.
Right,
And then
okay.
we go up the first week of March with a lot of orange shirts on, and as for my Teamsters, everybody. So it was a good push. I know someone at Slater was a big advocate also. So kudos to those people.
Great. Excellent.
Okay. Any other questions, comments? Any questions from the audience? Seeing there are none, I will make a motion to move this. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Okay, any other business? There's no other business. I make a motion to adjourn. Do I have a second?
So
Second?
what they say, like.
Second? All in favor? Thank you.
Aye, aye, aye.